the dangers of staying silent when others are being persecuted. And he actually said, first they came for the socialist, but I did not say anything because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist. I did not say anything because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for Wamunyoro and his people, but I did not say anything because I was not a Wamunyoro adherent. Now they have come to Nandi Hills, where the senator comes from, to his people. But I'm not going to keep quiet, Mr. Speaker, because police brutality is not acceptable, Mr. Speaker. So I will speak together with him to call the rogue police and to call the IG. You must take action. And also to remind him that the CS comes from the region. The CS who is in charge of this police comes from the region, Mr. Speaker. And he should also do something, because if you have the minister and you're being clobbered by the police, at least for us, or the people of Mount Kenya, we can say maybe he doesn't care. But if your people are being clobbered right, left, and center, when they're just playing a pool game, and they are not even a threat to anybody, Mr. Speaker, I think this CS and the IG should be called to order, because, Mr. Speaker, nobody deserves to be assaulted by the police. And on the issue of education, a statement that was brought by Senator Mwenda of Tharaka Nithi, I should tell him, you shouldn't worry, Mr. Speaker, because the president, together with the deputy president, they have said education is free. I don't know why we have this statement here, Mr. Speaker, saying why people are not going to school without school fees. The president and the deputy president, who comes from Tharaka Nithi, they have already announced in public that if you do not have school fees, go to school. That is declaring education free of charge, Mr. Speaker, because we do not have money. Nobody has money. So I don't know why we're even discussing this issue. But again, we're being vindicated that what they say on podium is something very different on location, Mr. Speaker. So Senator Mwenda, just tell your people to go to school. It is free. Thank you.
Senator Wakoli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity for me to weigh in on the matter of police brutality and arbitrary arrests of young people. Honorable Speaker, we are enjoying the fruits of freedom fighters. We are enjoying the fruits and the labor and the sweat of serious leaders. Not long ago, we buried our enigma, Raila Amolo Odinga. We buried Mheshimiwa Wamalwa Kijana. We buried my good friend Lawrence Sifuna from Bungoma. These are people who fought for the freedom of speech, freedom of association, and freedom of movement. What we all saw the other day in Nakuru, in Nandi, is something that cannot be accepted in the 21st century. It's something that shows that the training of our police officers is a problem. That a human being with a family, with all his mandibles, can brutally assault young people enjoying themselves, the freedom we fought for this country. I want to request the Inspector General that such officers should be deployed somewhere else where their energies can be fruitful to this country, but not when young people are investing in talent, cohesion, and integration, and equally enjoying the sweet drinks that our people produce in the villages. Honorable Speaker, it reminds me of another incident in Nyeri, where police officers openly shot at people and at a person specifically, and the person died. What kind of country are we living in? We are supporting the president to a trajectory that he has promised, that we shall all go to the promised land. What is the place? Singapore. But you realize the police officers want us to go to Zayuni, Honorable Speaker. It is not acceptable. We want to work with the president headed to Singapore. So I want to request the Inspector General and his soldiers, boot soldiers, to give us space to support the president, to go to Singapore, to make this country a very good place. And I want to finally, Mheshimiwa Speaker, to talk about an incident that happened in Bungoma. We lost a DVC, Professor Siamba. The comrades of the university and the neighbors were up in arms. And as they were lighting candles, mourning, the police officers raided those comrades with tear gas. allowing the comrades to scamper and scatter while mourning. What is it that they were trying to cover up? Is it a unity of the administration and the police to curtail the people from traditionally mourning their legend? Or there is something behind that?
Senator Mogeni.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
You ought to have gathered your thoughts and condensed them within 3 minutes. Senator Mogeni.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleague senators in condemning this issue of police brutality. Mr. Speaker, we enacted a new constitution in 2010, and the aspirations, the spirit of Kenyans was to create a free, democratic society. And in that constitution, Mr. Speaker, there are rights, enshrined rights in that constitution, Mr. Speaker. One of them, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that you don't subject our youths to any inhuman treatment, Mr. Speaker. How can police officers, who should be civilians in police uniform, harass youths playing pool, Mr. Speaker? And Mr. Speaker, as a student of constitutional law, the Constitution in Article 240 has created a National Security Council. And Mr. Speaker, the National Security Council is chaired by none other than the President of the Republic of Kenya. And it says, Mr. Speaker, that that National Security Council has supervisory powers over the national security organs. Mr. Speaker, why can't we see internal disciplinary action against these police officers? Why can't we see investigations that can lead to prosecution, Mr. Speaker? Kwani, in this country, has our constitution taken a tea break, Mr. Speaker? We have turned Kenyans, anytime they see policemen, they have to become athletic. And that's why they're even going to Nandi to try and see if those youths are athletic enough. We can't live in such a society, Mr. Speaker. That's why, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon we should all speak in one voice, Mr. Speaker, and tell our police officers that we want to live in a society that is more free, Mr. Speaker. We don't want to be brutalized by our police officers, Mr. Speaker. The question I'm asking, honestly, if a crime has been committed, like what we saw, how long does it take before we see action? Is it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? How long does it take, Mr. Speaker? By now, heads should have rolled. What can we explain to this country if the same police officer repeated the same crime tomorrow in Nairobi? Because transferring is not a disciplinary action, Mr. Speaker. Those who cannot live up with the freedoms that are guaranteed to Kenyans in our constitution can quit. They can also go and sell mandazi elsewhere, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Senator Onyonka. Senator Richard Onyonka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am happy to be back in this house, and I'm happy to see you and my colleagues back in this house. I just wanted, Mr. Speaker, to contribute to the motion, the statement that my leader, Honorable Cherargei, has brought. But, Mr. Speaker, the message that I had, and I listened to Honorable Karungo, I wish he was still in the room. You know, Mr. Speaker, our colleagues, anytime we are at the advantaged position, and particularly when we're in government and we see people being violated, we clap about it and laugh. We say, I remember before Karungo and Waminyoro had disagreed with the president, and that is the time we were talking about very painful things about our country and how our behavior was. Mr. Speaker, any violation, minimum or otherwise, which is violated against an individual who is either next to you or very far from you, there's a possibility that violation will come back to you. So the truth and the honesty about our security situation in our country is that there should be reasonableness, there should be fairness, there should be no bias, there should be no weaponization of security in the Republic of Kenya. Whether the young men were actually playing pool and they came from in Kisii, some place called Kebirigo, or whether they came from Nandi. That was a very sad picture. The optics of it were not good. And I really hope that soon, because of this statement, I hope that we'll be able to call the IG and get an opportunity to interrogate, and maybe, if there's anything, just advise him what he should and what he should not do. And sir, Mr. Speaker, these things are related. The event where we saw individuals with guns shooting bullets outside a church, where, because Honorable Gachagua was in that church, and the truth is Honorable Gachagua has disagreed with the president and the government. But we should be magnanimous enough as leadership to agree that we who are in the opposition should be allowed to run our mouths. We should be allowed to say whatever we say. We should, so long as it's within the law, so long as I don't violate anybody's dignity, anybody's respect, so long as I'm not petty, Mr. Speaker, I should be allowed. Because the
Senator Wamatenga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. Let me also add my voice into supporting the statement by Senator Fernandez and Chilagay. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is very sad that you see the brutality of the police meted out to young people. Mr. Speaker, we are living in a generation where we should be having utmost tolerance. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to concur with Senator Chilagay that indeed the kind of police force we are having, though some, Mr. Speaker, have become log, they are spoiling the name of some of the very good servicemen and servicewomen we have in this country. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is imperative that we as a House stand and condemn whichever brutality comes from the police, because it is the unit, the force that we've been entrusted with the security and safeguarding national interest. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me also to weigh in on the matter of attacking worshippers, Mr. Speaker. In the 21st century, it is indeed very sad, Mr. Speaker. It does not matter which side of political divide you are in, but you cannot subject our families, kids, women, and old men into this kind of torture, into this kind of tormentation, because we are far, Mr. Speaker, away from that kind of politics. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it is also important to look at the structural training that we give our police unit. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that we need to look at the training that we give. 9 months in Kiganjo, Mr. Speaker, and then no other training, Mr. Speaker, is too little. We must therefore, Mr. Speaker, embark on retooling like we are doing with the teachers, retooling our police so that they know they are not only a force, but they are a service that is supposed to help the common mwananchi. And as my colleague has said here, in the journey to go to Singapore, Mr. Speaker, we must do away with police brutality. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Mwenyehaji.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia maombi ya taarifa yaliyoletwa bungeni na Seneta wa Nandi, Seneta Chiragei. Mheshimiwa Spika, ukatili wa polisi imekuwa ni jambo la kawaida katika nchi yetu, na mwaka huu kumekuwa na matukio mawili ambayo yanaonyesha kwamba ukatili huu unaendelea katika nchi yetu, licha ya kwamba tuna katiba mpya, licha ya kwamba tuna taasisi huru ya kusimamia mambo ya polisi, na licha ya kwamba nchi tayari ilikuwa imekemea swala hili hapo nyuma. Mheshimiwa Spika, kitendo kilichotokea kule sehemu za Nandi ambapo vijana walikuwa wanajivinjari na kucheza mchezo wa pool ni kitendo cha kinyama sana. Hayo maswala kwamba mtu atembee na kitambulisho ni maswala yalipitwa na wakati, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hiyo ilikuwa ni wakati wa kabla ya uhuru, ndipo hapo walikuwa wanatembea na kibali ama kipande kile, ukiulizwa na polisi unaonesha kipande chako. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ipo haja ya waziri muhusika kuja katika bunge hili na kuweza kueleza ni sababu gani unyama ama ukatili wa polisi unaendelea katika nchi yetu, wakati tuna katiba ambayo inatoa uhuru kwa wananchi, inatoa uhuru kwa watu walioko katika nchi hii kufanya mambo yao bila matatizo yote. Mheshimiwa Spika, masuala mengine kama yale ya kule Nyeri Othaya ambapo risasi za vitoa machozi vilitupwa katika kanisa ni mambo ya kusikitisha kwa wakati huu. Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeona kwamba bado polisi wetu licha ya kwamba wameweza kupewa mtaala mpya wa kusoma, wameweza kufundishwa sheria mpya, lakini bado wana ile fikra za kikoloni kwamba yeye lazima akufanyie unyama wewe kama raia. Mheshimiwa Spika, mengi yanatendeka sehemu nyingi ambazo hayatokei katika vyombo vya habari wala hayaelezwi katika social media. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono statement hii na komiti husika lazima ilivalie njuga jambo hili, waweze kuhakikisha kwamba wanapata ukweli wa mambo haya, na wale ambao walidhulumiwa wameweza kupewa ridhaa, na wale polisi ambao walitenda kitendo hicho cha kinyama waweze kuchukuliwa hatua za kisheria. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to also join my colleagues to support the statement of Senator for Nandi. Honorable Speaker, well, I think I am not surprised because I come from a state where it became a police state. And it's the order of the day for police harassment, and we have taken it normal. But it's good to hear that today the same thing is happening in Nandi. Honorable Speaker, you'll be surprised. The Kenyan police, actually, the way they act is so unfortunate that the police officers are supposed to be friendly. That's why Kenyans who are affected or who have problems should run to, but not to run away from the police stations and police officers. Honorable Speaker, I came from Wajir and I want to travel to Nairobi. In every stage where you pass, the buses and the vehicles traveling are stopped, inspected. The passengers have been told to drop their bags. And it's actually, you get surprised that where are we? Are we really in a state of a police state or really an independent country like Kenya? Honorable Speaker, I think our police needs to be retained. And if needs to be, I think we need to have new police officers because they seem to not be appreciating their work. Because the other day I was shocked when I saw young kids and mamas in the church being tear gassed. This is actually very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Those people are innocent. We might be looking for one individual and we have starting to harass people there. I was also shocked when I saw hooded people. I don't know who they were. I don't know whether they were bandits, whether they were officers. You know, damaging very expensive cars where bullets have been hit to the engines, you know. Very, very expensive cars. I think that kind of situation cannot be allowed in this country. Honorable Speaker, I think it's a high time this House takes these challenges and invite all the leaders of the police officers, the minister, at least to say why people in a church or in a mosque should be tear gassed, especially where there are children there. There are mamas who are even pregnant, hey mamas. So I think it's a high time that you must have some human faces. The police officers must be welcoming. You know, you get surprised when you're traveling, you see 100 and many police officers and traffic officers along the roads. You wonder, instead of having all those officers there, why don't they take them to northern Kenya, take them to Turkana where the bandits are, so they can go and fight and save the Kenyans? Thank you so much, Speaker.
Senator Seki. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also join my colleagues on this issue from Senator Cherargei, where we have a problem on this, the Kenya police and even the harassment and brutality of Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, I have an incident in my county where just recently we had a problem where police killed one citizen of Kajiado, and another young man also is seated now. He's right now in the hospital, in ICU, it is a big issue which has been a problem in the whole country. Honorable Speaker, as I joined my colleagues to condole this issue and even to say that how the Kenyans can be saved in this police brutality, Honorable Speaker, I don't know how we can really bring this to an end, because it seems like they have a direction, or they have a directives. Kenya Police have a directives. The IG seems not to be very cognizant to what is happening to Kenyans, and we are losing young men, people, this republic, and there is no, it seems like that nothing is happening, Honorable Speaker. I don't know if it will be enough for the committee to sit down with the IG, the DCI, the NIS, and whatever, all the national security personnel. But I think this is something that has been a big problem. I don't know if it has been given a directive from more office than the one from the IG, but we don't know who is giving directives, Honorable Speaker, to kill Kenyans. We don't know. It is a problem. It's a nuisance. It is something that we cannot understand, because in a scenario where we have a problem in Kajiado, in a place in Kitengela, one of the restaurants in Kajiado, just police officers just shoot young men who are just taking their own leisure times in a pub, without even any directives, without any problem. And up to now, none of them has been arrested. The same case to where we sometimes we've seen when the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua attended her church service. There is a lot of problems, and I think much will be done by the committee. But
Senator Omtata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to support both motions, both statements. On the first statement by Senator Cherargei, I think we should look at the entire architecture of the militarization of the Kenya Police. When you look at the origins of the Kenya Police, it began off as an occupation force to dominate, control, and oppress the local population. That culture has not been removed. At independence, the same culture remained, and you will see that it seems to have gotten worse when the KDF invaded Somalia. The Kenya Police began acquiring a militaristic character. If you look at our police today, they are attired in jungle attire. When the Inspector General of Police came to this house, he was wearing fatigues, military fatigues, jungle fatigues. That militarization of the police needs to be addressed so that the police can go back to a civilian force, not an occupation force. And that's where the problem lies. We must look at that issue, because if you saw what happened in Nandi, it was an expression of oppression and domination and control. So the police are not supposed to be controlling, oppressing, and doing all those kind of things. So we need to go back and look at the systemic issues that make the police so militarized in their approach to issues and not to be civil. Regarding education, there are so many kids not going to school. There's a challenge, like there's no money in this country. And that is not something that is an act of God. It's an act of the Kenya Kwanza government. This government has made sure that people do not have disposable income by imposing unnecessary taxes, which when that money is collected, is then repatriated to go and pay odious debts. So we need to come down and address the question of taxation in this country so that there can be disposable income for families to run around. You find so many people not going to school today because the middle class in Kenya subsidizes the state. They send M-Pesa to pay bills for hospital, they send M-Pesa to help school fees, and so forth. Now, when these people, when the pay slips are stripped of disposable income, these people are not able to play the critical role they've been playing of keeping the society going. So it's the tax regime that has been imposed by the Kenya Kwanza government that's at the heart of the lack of money in people's pockets, the failure to take kids to school, and etc. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to also raise my concern about the harassment of youth by police officers in Nandi Hills. Mr. Speaker, it's so unfortunate that this police force that Kenyans have tried their best to make it a service through the Constitution of 2010. Mr. Speaker, this police force, even with the investment to make it a reformed force, it is getting worse and worse. A situation where police officers can get into a private club and beat up the youth or do all manner of things, Mr. Speaker, this is not something that should be happening in this country, Mr. Speaker. These are things that have happened in failed states, not in a democratic state like Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, maybe we need to go back and ask ourselves, the police force that we wanted, the police service that we wanted, the police service that we even put in the Constitution and say this police service commission is going to be independent. Even we put there IPOA, which is supposed to oversight the police service commission, and nothing seems to be working. We must ask ourselves why. Why is the police not able to serve Kenyans well and serve Kenyans as a service and not a force? I think that is the big question that we need to ask, because we have cases like these ones, many across the country, Mr. Speaker. You saw the other day police entering a church and throwing tear gas in churches. The other day you saw police trying to stop meetings. But Mr. Speaker, I want to say this weekend, me and Senator Nairobi, Senator Sifuna, we applauded the police in Busia, Mr. Speaker, because the governor of Busia tried to stop our meeting in Busia town. And the people said we will have the meeting. And the police were there to escort us very peacefully. And the police were there to give us protection. I think in the midst of all this, let me also thank the police for the conduct of Sunday, when they welcomed us in Busia, when they protected us, and when they guided us to the venue of our meeting. That is the force that this country needs, not a police force or a police service that is there to harm.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 8, procedural motion. Limitation of debate on motions.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 111, the Senate resolve that debate on a motion not sponsored by the majority or minority party or committee shall be limited in the following manner: a maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover, 20 minutes for the majority party official responder, 20 minutes for the minority party official responder, and 15 minutes for each other senator speaking. And further, that 15 minutes before the time expires, the mover shall be called upon to reply. I move. Seconder. Honorable Sigay.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion. And while I second the motion, Mr. Speaker, I wish to appreciate the limitation of time to the extent of members being allowed to take certain timeline because of the business that is existing in the House, and for purposes of ensuring that we also are able to transact whatever businesses that are placed in order paper or which are placed before the House within a reasonable timeline. And Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
Now, honorable senators, I will now propose the question. Senator Wakoli, take your seat. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 111.1, the Senate resolves that debate on a motion not sponsored by the majority or minority party or a committee shall be limited in the following manner: a maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover, 20 minutes for the majority party official responder, 20 minutes for the minority party official responder, and 15 minutes for each other senator speaking. And further, that 15 minutes before the time expires, the mover shall be called upon to reply. Now, honorable senators, this is a procedural motion. With your concurrence, I may proceed to put the question so that you can vote on the same. Do I have your concurrence? Yes. Clerk, do you have quorum? So ring the quorum bell, Sergeant at Arms, for 10 minutes.
Clerk, please continue ringing the quorum bell for another 5 minutes. Order, honorable members. Senator Ledama, take your seat. Senator Kajwang, take your seat. Senator Okinyuri, take your seat. Now, honorable senators, having attained the quorum, I will proceed to put the question that pursuant to Standing Order 1111, the Senate resolves that debate on a motion not sponsored by the majority or minority party or a committee shall be limited in the following manner. A maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover, 20 minutes for the majority party official responder, 20 minutes for the minority party official responder, and 15 minutes for each other senator speaking. And further, that 15 minutes before the time expires, the mover shall be called upon to reply. Now, honorable senators, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clerk, we move to the next order.
Order number 9, procedural motion. Limitation of debate on adjournment motion.
Senate Majority Leader.
Order, members. I beg Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I beg to move that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 1114, the debate on any motion for the adjournment of the Senate to a day other than the next normal sitting day in accordance with the calendar of the Senate shall be limited to a maximum of 2 hours with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, after which the Senate shall adjourn without question put, provided that when the period of recess proposed by any such motion does not exceed 9 calendar days, the debate shall be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes and shall be confined to the question of adjournment. I beg to move and request Honorable Cheregei, now that you are on your feet, to proceed.
Mr. Speaker, as I beg to second, and since this is a procedural motion and colleagues to have time to vote on it, we can dispose and proceed to other matters on the order paper. I think these are very important. These are procedural matter as per our standing orders. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I beg to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senate Majority Leader, Senator Ledama, please take your seat. Honorable Senators, this being also a procedural motion, I will proceed to just propose the question that notwithstanding to provisions of Standing Order 114, the debate on any motion for the adjournment of the Senate to a day other than the next normal sitting day in accordance with the calendar of the Senate shall be limited to a maximum of 2 hours with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, after which the Senate shall adjourn without question put, provided that when the period of recess proposed by any such motion does not exceed 9 calendar days, the debate shall be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes and shall be confined to the question of adjournment. As I have alluded, honorable senators, with your concurrence, I will proceed to put the question because this is another procedural motion, just like the previous one we dealt with. I believe we are in concurrence. I will proceed then, honorable senators, to put the question that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 114, the debate on any motion for the adjournment of the Senate to a day other than the next normal sitting day, in accordance with the calendar of the Senate, shall be limited to a maximum of 2 hours with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, after which the Senate shall adjourn without question put, provided that when the period of recess proposed by any such motion does not exceed 9 calendar days, the debate shall be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes and shall be confined to the question of adjournment. Now, honorable members, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clerk may call the next order.
Order number 10, procedural motion. Limitation of debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament.
Senate Majority Leader, proceed to move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 27.6, the Senate resolve that the debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament shall be limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, excluding the mover in moving and replying, who shall be limited to 30 minutes in either case, and that the Senate Majority Leader and Senate Minority Leader shall be limited to 30 minutes each. I beg to move and request Honorable Cherargei to second.
Mr. Speaker, this is another straightforward motion, and as I rise to second, is as per our standing orders, Mr. Speaker, this will increase efficiency, efficacy, and effectiveness of the House to be able to transact most of these motions in good time and in line with our standing orders as anchored in Article 123 of the Constitution of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I beg to second.
Honorable senators, I now propose the question that pursuant to Standing Order 27.6, the Senate resolves that the debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament shall be limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, excluding the mover in moving and replying, who shall be limited to 30 minutes in either case, and that the Senate Majority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader shall be limited to 30 minutes each. Honorable senators, similarly, this being a procedural motion, with your concurrence, I will proceed to put the question. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 84.1, honorable members, this matter does not affect counties, and I will proceed to put the question that pursuant to Standing Order 27.6, the Senate resolves that the debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament shall be limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, excluding the mover in moving and replying, who shall be limited to 30 minutes in either case, and that the Senate Majority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader shall be limited to 30 minutes each. Now, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clerk, proceed to call the next order.
Order number 11, procedural motion. referral of statutory instruments and papers submitted during recess.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the Senate resolves that during the short and long recess of the 5th session of the 13th Parliament, where any statutory instrument or paper is transmitted for tabling in the Senate, and the Speaker determines that the statutory instrument or paper is of priority, the Speaker shall forthwith refer the statutory instrument or paper to the relevant committee for consideration, and the statutory instrument or paper shall be deemed to have been tabled before the Senate, and the Speaker shall report the statutory instrument or paper to the Senate and cause the statutory instrument to be tabled in the Senate in accordance with the provisions of Section 11 of the Statutory Instrument Act number 3 of 2023, and the paper to be tabled before the Senate at its next sitting. I request Senator Cherargei to rise and move.
To second.
And second, Honorable Speaker, sorry.
Mr. Speaker, as I second, I am impressed with the efficiency of the Senate Majority Whip. I saw even on the weekend when they were barring Professor Samba, although he was being intimidated, but he stood his ground. We are proud of what you are doing. So, Speaker, this is another procedural motion, especially on issues of Statutory Instruments Act. I think as a House, we have made a decision that is very clear, that all statutory instruments must come to the floor of the Parliament and be approved. We have seen ministers and other people who have power to create instruments trying to bypass Parliament. Mr. Speaker, this is a warning that they should not, they should follow the law. So, Speaker, since this is a procedural motion and anchored under Article 124 on powers of the committees and standing orders, I beg to second. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that the Senate resolves that during the short and long recesses of the 5th session of the 13th Parliament, where any statutory instrument or paper is transmitted for tabling in the Senate, and the Speaker determines that the statutory instrument or paper is of priority, the Speaker shall forthwith refer the statutory instrument or paper to the relevant committee for consideration, and the statutory instrument or paper shall be deemed to have been tabled before the Senate, and the Speaker shall report the statutory instrument or paper to the Senate and cause the statutory instrument to be tabled in the Senate in accordance with the provisions of Section 11 of the Statutory Instruments Act, Act number 3 of 2023, and the paper to be tabled before the Senate at its next sitting. Honorable members, similarly, this is also a statutory motion, a procedural motion, and I, with your concurrence, will proceed to put the question. Having also determined that this matter does not affect counties, I will proceed to put the question that the Senate resolves that during the short and long recesses of the 5th session of the 13th Parliament, where any statutory instrument or paper is transmitted for tabling in the Senate, and the Speaker determines that the statutory instrument or paper is of priority, the Speaker shall forthwith refer the statutory instrument or paper to the relevant committee for consideration, and the statutory instrument or paper shall be deemed to have been tabled before the Senate, and the Speaker shall report the statutory instrument or paper to the Senate and cause the statutory instrument to be tabled in the Senate in accordance with the provisions of Section 11 of the Statutory Instruments Act, Act number 3 of 2023, and the paper to be tabled before the Senate at its next sitting. Now, honorable members, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clerk, call the next order.
Order number 12, the Kenya National Council for Population and Development Bill, National Assembly Bills number 72 of 2023. Second reading.
Senate Majority Leader.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Kenya National Council for Population and Development Bill 2023 be now read a second time. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important bill. This bill is a National Assembly bill, actually, number 72 of 2023, which our colleagues in the National Assembly have considered and duly now forwarded here to the Senate for consideration. Mr. Speaker, this bill, by and large, in a nutshell, seeks to establish properly in statute this state corporation. As it is today, this government agency is actually set up only under legal notice. I think legal notice number 12 of 2004. And it's a very important government agency, Mr. Speaker. You know that population is not a very small matter in this country. There has been controversy. Even as we speak today, Mr. Speaker, you know that the last census of 2019, I think, certain sections of it were actually successfully challenged in court. And today, even as we do division of revenue and government planning and all those things, Mr. Speaker, many of those things actually are just being guided by, I think, guesswork. Because what do you do in the sense that a population census has been carried out, challenged in court, Mr. Speaker, and I'm disappointed that there were no sanctions to the particular officers. If the court was convinced that either figures were inflated or the census was not carried out accordingly, Mr. Speaker, then the duty-bound officers, the people who undertook that exercise, if the court indeed agreed, Mr. Speaker, that there was interference from mandarins from I don't know where, Mr. Speaker, then there should have been sanctions on those public officers. You know, the problem in this country, Mr. Speaker, is that there are never sanctions for individuals who bungle public exercises. You will cancel an election, you will cancel maybe a title that was allotted, you will cancel a certain transaction, but there has never been a decision. And I wish that we had more bold judges in our judiciary who will actually look at civil servants who participate in such exercises that end up costing taxpayers money and send them to jail, so that people begin to appreciate that when you are charged with the responsibility of being a public officer, Mr. Speaker, you take it seriously and do justice in the interest of the people. Mr. Speaker, that was just a small deviation because I thought about the people that come specifically, say, from those counties that are affected by the ruling on the population census of 2019, Mr. Speaker, and the anxiety and injustice that they continue to suffer today, so long as the government has never provided remedial measures on how to resolve that particular matter. And the courts also, in their wisdom or lack of it, as they say, Mr. Speaker, never gave direction actually on how that matter needs to be handled, or at least none that I'm aware of. Probably, maybe it may have been spoken. It's not a matter that I've followed closer to the detail. Therefore, this council, Mr. Speaker, is a very important council because, like we said, Senate as a house and the national government needs to pay close attention to this. Each time we discuss the annual division of revenue, and more particularly once every 5 years, Mr. Speaker, when we do the basis for revenue sharing across the county, we look at all these matrices, including population survey, Mr. Speaker, poverty index, and all these matters. The information that we use, Mr. Speaker, is provided for us by credible government agencies like Kenya Bureau of Statistics, Mr. Speaker, and Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and such agencies. This will be one such agency, Mr. Speaker, where on matters to do with the population survey and development, they will have a say. But Mr. Speaker, it's my hope that their research and findings and studies will not just gather dust in government offices. You know, Mr. Speaker, I am proud of the work that this House, and it's only that people don't follow the work of Senate quite closely. It was this House, Mr. Speaker, that made a decision in 2016, for example. Previously, you know, on conditional grants, Senator Kajwang may remember this, that somebody will sit at Treasury and allocate projects haphazardly without no basis or reference to any particular order. It took the decision of this Senate, Mr. Speaker, through their Finance Committee to say no to the National Treasury and decide that there has to be a structured way in which conditional grants are sent equally and equitably to all the 47 counties of a country. That is the kind of decision-making that we expect from bodies such as this, Mr. Speaker, that their decisions will lead us actually so that you have a fully prosperous country, Mr. Speaker, without due consideration to any other political affiliation. The unfortunate thing, Mr. Speaker, is that for the last 60 years, and this is a reality which nobody can challenge, is that there is a clear indication that regions that have produced either presidents or senior government officials have benefited unduly to the exclusion of regions, certain regions of the country. It is because we have not mastered the art, Mr. Speaker, of looking our country as an entire unit, that we still consider that even matters development, Mr. Speaker, are issues of political considerations. And it is a difficult conversation which, unfortunately, the country must have. Even now, as we speak today, you know, there has been a very ugly spat of late, led by a very incompetent fellow that we kicked out by an impeachment vote in this House, Mr. Speaker, trying to besmirch, Mr. Speaker, the leadership from Northern Kenya. Mr. Speaker, that debate cannot be had in full without due consideration of where the entire 100% of the budget has gone over the years, Mr. Speaker. We can speak about CDF. You can speak about equitable share, Mr. Speaker, but that is barely 20%. What about the 80%, Mr. Speaker? That is a conversation that needs to be had as a country, looking at Kenya as an entire republic and knowing that there are regions that have been undermined by successive regimes, Mr. Speaker, and that is why we have all those details. In this bill, Mr. Speaker, because I mentioned that this bill actually is one to anchor this board in law, Mr. Speaker, so that they do all those things, responsibilities that have been listed, Mr. Speaker, asking this board what are the objectives, for example, of the council, which is to be the focal point on matters relating to population and development, develop and review and coordinate implementation of national population policy at regular intervals. Mr. Speaker, I don't like the language that is used here. I have to be precise. And I hope the committee that looks into this matter, I don't know which committee will eventually, I think this must be Labour. And I saw Senator Murgor earlier, but he's not here, Mr. Speaker. They must get the submissions from, Mr. Speaker, the national government on which body will eventually carry out the national census and what will be then the responsibility of this board, Mr. Speaker, complete with clarity, because the language that is used here doesn't provide specificity on this particular topic, Mr. Speaker. Because when you say you are a focal point, Mr. Speaker, what do you mean? What is the relationship between this and KNBS, Mr. Speaker? Will they do it jointly? Will one oversight the other? What is the relation, Mr. Speaker? These are matters which I hope by the time we are doing the third reading of this bill, the Labour Committee will have guided us as a House to properly understand the placing of this council, Mr. Speaker, complete with all the reason that the members of this council requested. Mr. Speaker, Section 8, not 8 actually, Section 9 is where I want to spend a little bit of time. Actually 8, Mr. Speaker. There must be a different way of doing things. Many times when bills come to this House, the national government, true to its function, and I have said the state law office, and it's unfortunate because that is an office where the heart and the breadth of this constitution, Mr. Speaker, should be more alive than any other institution. But matters devolution are dead at the state law office. And this is something that I have raised with none other than the Attorney General on many occasions. If you see how they draft this legislation, Mr. Speaker, when you read the list of the members of this board, you can clearly see that this is not somebody who appreciates that there are two levels of government. And I don't know what it will take for the drafters of such legislation, Mr. Speaker, who sit at the national drafting desk at the state law office, Mr. Speaker, to appreciate that there are two levels of government. When you send us a bill, of course they know that many times they will be lucky to skim through, if particularly a determination is made that that bill does not concern counties and therefore it's considered by our colleagues in the National Assembly. And I also don't know up to when our colleagues in the National Assembly will learn to live and appreciate that there are two levels of government, despite the fact, Mr. Speaker, because there has been an erroneous interpretation that so long as a matter touches on devolution, it is of no concern to the National Assembly. It's quite unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, because all these members of the National Assembly, they come from certain counties. By continuously undermining devolution, Mr. Speaker, and being supported by our colleagues in the National Assembly who pass laws such as this, because this bill has already gone through the 349 members of the National Assembly, and none has been able to pick out and say, you cannot constitute such a board in the 21st century in a country where we have the 2010 Constitution, Mr. Speaker. It tells you that many of them don't exercise their mind appropriately to appreciate, Mr. Speaker, that there is an important role that our devolved units carry on and for on behalf of the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, this board eventually, when the Committee on Labor sits on this particular, I expect that they will rejig it properly, Mr. Speaker, ensure that there is good representation of our county governments, including the various agencies and institutions that appreciate the 2010 Constitution and how it's supposed to work. Otherwise, this continuous drafting, because you can clearly see that many of these bills, Mr. Speaker, somebody lazily sits on their desk, Mr. Speaker, approves, edits, copies and pastes, Mr. Speaker, and concludes on that particular business. Mr. Speaker, when I refer to the State Law Office, don't get very worried. I know you have close relations in that particular office, but I know she works in a different office, not this particular one. This is a different one, because I have seen how you're looking at me when I mentioned the State Law Office, Mr. Speaker. This is a different one who needs to, and in fact, at the next conference, where we bring together national government and the Senate, the AG needs to address us specifically on this particular matter, and the refusal by her officers to appreciate the fact that 2010 Constitution radically changed institutions and how they are represented. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, that is something that needs to be done. You know, Part H is an interesting one. There are 3 persons who shall be nominated by the Forum of Religious Organization, consisting of the Secretary General of Supreme 4, Council of Kenya Muslims, Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, Hindu, National Christian Churches of Kenya and Evangelical Alliance, provided that not more than one shall be appointed by the Cabinet Secretary from one organization. It's okay. At least this is a bit descriptive, because it speaks to the Muslims through SUPKEM and the various major denominations of the Christian faith, which is the Catholics, the Evangelicals Alliance, Mr. Speaker, and the Hindu Council, Mr. Speaker. But I don't think we have reached here, Mr. Speaker, where we can define, because you know this country very well, and I have nothing against Catholics like Omtata. I know he's a member of the Catholic faith and maybe many others. But when you compare one of the major denominations to the exclusions of the other, the Anglicans, for example, might arise in protest. I don't know which church Senator Kajwang goes to, Mr. Speaker. Oh, he's an Adventist. Yes, I've just remembered. For example, the Adventist is a very major denomination with churches spread across the country. I don't know what is the total population of the Adventists vis-a-vis the Catholics, the Anglicans, for example. Therefore, this proposal that is being put here to mention a specific church denomination, Mr. Speaker, may give us trouble, unless we had a religious council that will give us the censors to establish. I prefer the previous mode of drafting, because we have done other laws, the IBC law and so many others, where we have just left it to the interreligious council to sit down amongst themselves and make a determination. But to pick a specific major denomination, in this instance, the Catholic Church, Mr. Speaker, may put us in trouble with the rest of the denomination. Because, Mr. Speaker, they say to name one is to exclude others. And that is something that we need to perhaps bring a better understanding. And when members of the Labour Committee, I don't know if they're in the House this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sit to consider that particular matter, that is an item that they need to address this House on, so that we are clear about it, Mr. Speaker, on what is the response by the other religious bodies on that kind of inclusion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to belabor the point because, like I had mentioned, the rest are actually statutory matters about the responsibilities of the Director General, the Corporation Secretary, Mr. Speaker, and the usual stuff about within a period of 3 months from the end of financial year, submit to the Auditor General, the Council, statements and the rest, Mr. Speaker, and all these other things that continue, Mr. Speaker, to form part and parcel of our legislative forming duties. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it's a good bill, important, but there are various areas of concern which I have raised, Mr. Speaker, that I hope that when Labour Committee sits to consider this bill, they can furnish us with a good report. This is quite important, given the issues that have surrounded, Mr. Speaker, distribution of resources across the country. You know, for example, Mr. Speaker, that today, as we sit here, much as we did for the county governments, the issue of conditional grants, our colleagues in the National Assembly have never made a similar pronouncement on national issues, Mr. Speaker, particularly where public officers have the discretion to determine where to place certain government projects, Mr. Speaker. What is the guiding factor in making that particular decision? There are many times, Mr. Speaker, where you find an officer sits at a government office because they come from Kericho, then they determine, they're supposed to be built something here. You take it to Kericho. Sometimes even programs that have got absolutely nothing to do with the regions that they come from, but out of just this desire, wanting to maybe be popular or I don't know, do what, many institutions actually, and there are regions that have suffered under that kind of political patronage over the years, Mr. Speaker. The Ministry of Health, I don't know which other ministry, Mr. Speaker, National Treasury as well. This council will address such matters, Mr. Speaker, and it is important that we give it the sufficient powers to ensure that we spread development evenly across the country. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request the Senator for Nandi, Senator Samson Cherargei to second.
Senator Cherargei, as you take the mic, the Leader of Majority, I take comfort in the assurance that you gave as regards those who are